Tonight, we're breaking down 3 explosive courtroom moments involving former President Donald Trump. 3 separate cases, 3 separate judges, and 3 separate meltdowns that reveal exactly how unhinged things have become behind the scenes. These clips are circulating everywhere right now, but most people have only seen fragments. Today we're putting all the pieces together, from the walkouts, to the shouting matches, to the judges publicly shutting him down. This is Unmasked America, and this is what really happened.
12:08, here's a live look at the doors in the Manhattan courthouse. Right now, the jury is deliberating in former President Donald Trump's historic criminal trial.
Right now, the jury is deliberating in Donald Trump's historic criminal trial in Manhattan.
This afternoon, CBS reporter Michael George is outside of the courthouse, where the former president could become the first former president ever convicted of a crime.
Judge Juan Merchan issued strict instructions outlining exactly what jurors must consider to reach a verdict beyond a reasonable doubt. Judge Juan Merchan issued strict instructions outlining exactly what jurors must consider to reach a...
The fate of former President Donald Trump is now in the hands of a New York City jury. Judge Juan Merchan began the day by issuing crucial instructions to the jurors, laying out the legal issues they must consider and the conclusions they must reach to find Trump guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
At the same time, Trump's administration returned to the Supreme Court to argue that SNAP food aid payments...
President Donald Trump's administration returned to the Supreme Court on Monday in a push to keep full payments in the SNAP food aid program frozen while the government is shut down.
And then came the moment that stunned everyone inside the courtroom. And then came the moment that stunned everyone inside the courtroom.
Lower courts have ruled that the government must keep full payments flowing, and the Supreme Court asked the administration to respond after an appeals court ruled against it late Sunday.
Reports say Trump generated one of the most chaotic scenes ever observed in a legal proceeding.
Trump's administration has argued that the judicial order to provide full benefits violates the Constitution by infringing on the spending power of the legislative and executive branches.
The judge gave him one simple condition: stick to the legal facts. But instead, Trump launched into a political tirade, claiming witch hunts, persecution, and insisting the banks, quote, got all their money back. He ignored repeated judicial warnings. He shouted over the court, and when he realized that the judge wasn't going to bend to the theatrics, he walked out, mid-proceeding, in front of cameras and stunned staff.
States administering SNAP payments continue to face uncertainty over whether they can and should provide full monthly payments during the ongoing legal battles.
This meltdown wasn't strategy. It was desperation, and it symbolized the collapse of his final legal defense in the case.
Over the weekend, the Trump administration demanded that states undo full benefits that were paid out during a one-day window between when a federal judge ordered full funding and a Supreme Court justice put a temporary pause on that order.
It's a fairly unusual case.
The presumptive Republican presidential nominee is facing 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. Prosecutors contend he tried to conceal a repayment to his former fixer, Michael Cohen, for $130,000 in hush money paid to adult film star Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 presidential election.
President Trump and other Republicans have...
In a separate case, Trump faced one of the most publicly humiliating moments of his legal battles.
Filed more than 30 election fraud lawsuits, and they haven't exactly been going well. Judges keep throwing them out for lack of evidence, while key battleground states are...
A federal judge ordered him to appear in person at a pivotal hearing, not remotely, not through lawyers, but physically inside the courtroom.
Are already certifying their election results. NBC News Justice correspondent Pete Williams reports.
This came after Trump attempted to avoid appearing by claiming he was too busy, or that the hearing would be burdensome. His excuses were rejected on the record, something judges almost never do.
The Trump campaign and Republican candidates have filed 36 lawsuits in 6 states since Election Day.
The judge emphasized that no defendant, including a former president, is above the rules of the court. and he made that ruling public.
But so far, they've succeeded in getting a total of only about 600 votes thrown out.
Meanwhile, Trump's election-related lawsuits continued to crumble nationwide. Judges rejected dozens of filings, criticizing them as speculation and misunderstanding of basic election procedures.
All of those in Pennsylvania, most are involved in a very close state legislative race.
In Pennsylvania, one federal judge issued a scathing opinion, saying Trump's team presented no credible evidence, no legal merit, and no justification to disenfranchise millions of voters.
Not the presidential election. But the story here isn't just the numbers. Judges have been strongly critical in their rulings, rejecting these claims.
Observers inside the courtroom described Trump as visibly shaken and humiliated, far from the confident persona he projects at rallies.
By saying they're based on rumor, speculation, or misunderstanding.
His legal strategy of delay, avoidance, Trump abruptly moved toward the prosecution in courtrooms across the country, prompting security to step in.
Look, you're a third-rate reporter, always have been. So third-rate reporters didn't look, but anybody that asked, these pictures have been in newspapers.
Reports described the room erupting into confusion as voices rose and tension spiked. Reports described the room erupting into confusion as voices rose and tension spiked.
They've been all over the place, and you know, we're very proud of it. It's gotten great reviews. It's gotten really great reviews. So I think we've been more transparent than anybody's ever been.
Witnesses say the movement was sudden enough to alarm security and disrupt the proceedings entirely. Journalists noted shouting, frantic reactions, and the judge attempting to regain control of the courtroom.
Changing this topic slightly, I see you've got the model of the White House and the ballroom.
This wasn't a moment of strength. It was another breakdown. Another sign that Trump struggles to maintain control in settings where the rules apply to him, just like everyone else.
Many people were surprised the entire East Wing is being demolished because you had said initially that the ballroom would just touch or would not.
Well, certain areas
are
certain areas are being left. We determined that after really a tremendous amount of study with some of the best architects in the world, we determined that really knocking it down, trying to use a little section. You know, the East Wing was not much. There was not much left from the original. It was over the course of 100 years, it was changed.
Multiple judges, different cases, same result. Chaos, volatility, and escalating courtroom behavior that's unprecedented for a former U.S. president.
The columns were removed, and it was a much different building. Then a story was added on in 1948, 1949.
After reviewing all three incidents, one thing becomes clear. Trump isn't just losing cases, he's losing control. The walkout in Clip A, the forced appearance in Clip B, the outburst in Clip C. Together, they paint the picture of a man boxed in by the one environment he cannot manipulate, a courtroom. You cannot walk out of evidence, you cannot rant your way out of legal consequences, and you cannot intimidate a judge. For the first time in decades, Trump's usual tactics aren't working. The theatrics, the shouting, the attempts to shift blame. None of it matters when the law steps in. This is not political spin. This is not strategy. This is a former president confronting accountability he can no longer escape. If you want a breakdown of the political fallout and the reactions from both parties, let me know. Part 2 is already in motion. Unmasked America, uncovering what they don't want you to see.